Well, welcome back to the Dr. Rob Show. My next guest is really a dear friend and someone I really respect, Karen Hennessy. Her son, Sean, has been struggling with learning disabilities, but more importantly, Karen is also a practitioner herself, and she has worked with a special group of kids, and that's really what we want to talk about especially. Karen is a nurse practitioner. She's at Georgetown University, and she works with cancer patients, children that have had cancer, and that end up with special needs afterwards. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so within the world of pediatric oncology, we developed what's somewhat of a subspecialty called late effects. And it's looking at the aftermath of the storm, so to speak. What are the problems that have occurred as a result of treatment? So I'm the clinical coordinator at Georgetown, and I see patients 2 years after they've completed treatment, and we're doing assessments of the effects from the chemo and radiation.
So I guess kind of like almost a dirty little secret that people don't know about, because I didn't know about it. I met Karen because you came to my course to learn more about this. Is that almost every child that goes through chemotherapy or radiation therapy ends up with a disability moving forward. And so why don't you speak to that and kind of the course like we had just talked about.
Okay, so there's specific types of chemotherapy agents that through a lot of research now, we know causes deleterious cognitive effects.
And we had talked about, which I thought was really interesting, the physical effect is that it actually reduces what we call white matter, or the connection. So the gray matter isn't damaged, but the white matter connections in the brain, which is important because those are the functional connectivities that we can work with.
Right, and that's exactly what the literature shows. They've done MRIs of these kids, and it shows white matter changes, and they followed them for years and years, and that translates into cognitive problems. So I hear, these kids have problems with attention and focus, executive function, reading comprehension, processing speed, and they're not specifically diagnosed with ADHD type 1, but it's almost like what it clinically looks like, those similar sorts of issues.
Right.
So, they go back to school after treatment and they're having, problems that, some might have been having problems before and the treatment exacerbated it.
Right.
Or some never had problems and all of a sudden school has become something that's, negative in their life.
So what do they do about it?
So the recommendation, in all of the pediatric oncology literature is that, they test children prior to treatment. That's the optimal way, getting kids tested before they begin treatment so we know what their baseline is, and then testing them afterwards to see what sort of, what happened into their brain as a result of the treatment. And then, what do all of these testing, psychological education, testing is that, then there's accommodations, extra time on tests or get a tutor, but we're never getting to the real core of the issue.
So it's purely compensatory. It doesn't do anything to really address the problem.
No, not at all.
And so, what I also want to talk about is you as a mother also had your own son that was struggling with these issues as well. So that was doubly challenging because you were facing it professionally every day, and now you're going home with your own son.
Right. Now, my son didn't have cancer. This was just a separate issue. But I was walking a parallel line, and I will tell you that as a parent, it made me a better practitioner. As a practitioner, it made me a better parent because I understood.
So what was Sean's struggles, and how did it eventually get you to brain balance, and how's he doing now?
Okay, so Sean was diagnosed with ADHD type 1, and although I'm not even sure I think that's what he really has.
Right,
okay?
It was almost like we had talked about more dyslexia, or he had more of a left brain deficit.
Right, exactly. So, but that's what he was diagnosed with, okay? Executive function, planning, organizing, these are cognitive things. And there was this discrepancy between his ability and his performance. Focusing and attention, we could line the bedroom with the homework slips because he was forgetting.
And the main thing was he was struggling in school, right?
Yeah, he was struggling in school academically, but yet he had this high IQ. And so why was this happening? But there were also other components. I mean, he had sensory integration disorder when he was younger. He had poor coordination. But nobody ever put this together for me.
So motor, sensory skills, and there was this unevenness of skills.
Exactly. Ultra sensitive, difficulty with adapting to change. But these were diagnosis of exclusion. Nobody put this picture together until I came and saw you. And then it all made sense.
And that all made sense as a professional, as a mother. And then he went through the Brain Balance program, and we did a radio show with him, and it was great. He's doing phenomenally well now.
Yes, he's a different kid. And I'm not the only one that says it. I'm not just the biased mother. People are in shock.
Well, he said it himself, too.
Yeah, he did. So from just even so let's start, from the bottom up as you talk about it, okay? So he did have primitive reflexes, and they are gone. He had sensory motor issues. This was a kid that was, you know, a couch potato. Now he's outside. I mean, his brain woke up. He goes outside and plays with his brother. He's engaging in games, outside games that he never did before. He's more confident. He goes on roller coasters.
Right.
I mean, there's things he never did before. And then in the classroom, I mean, he just finished his sophomore year in a private boys prep school. So it's hard. It's a hard curriculum. He had all honors classes. And
Wow.
he finished with a 92 average.
Wow. I think the most telling thing was when I spoke with him, and he said that before he didn't believe that he had a future,
Right.
and now he believes his future is really unlimited, that he
Right.
can do anything. And that, as a professional, as a parent, that's unbelievable, right? That's all we can ask for.
Right. Well, isn't that what we want? We want our kids to be happy. Right.
And so I think that, you know, it's important that we're passing on this hope. I want to have more conversations about how we can work with these kids and
Yeah.
help them. Thank you so much. And don't go away, because when we come back, we head into Carolyn's Craft Corner for some fun and easy crafts with your kids you can do in home just in time for the summer. Welcome back to the Dr. Rob Show. We're joined by my lovely wife, Carolyn.
That was nice of you. Thanks, Dr. Rob. Well, now that school's out for the summer, we have some fun and easy crafts that the kids will love to do. We have Kamea here, and we have her brother Vincent, and they have been very, very, very busy at the craft table. Again, I'd like to really stress that it's so important to have a box full of crafts for the kids. I put these out, and the kids dove for everything, and I have to say, they got paint all over everything. Everything is washable. Everything is cleanable. It took 2 seconds to clean it up. We have some beautiful sparkle paintings here. They are painting mugs. These mugs were 2 for $3 at Michael's. And for holidays, for Father's Day, for Mother's Day,
Especially for Father's Day.
for something with the
forget.
grandparents, these make amazing gifts. And Kamea is working so diligently, and she's doing a beautiful job, as are you, especially on the inside. It looks wonderful.
And what's neat is that, you know, this is really abstract art, right?
Absolutely.
So that abstract art really stimulates the right side of the brain, where more realistic art, like if you're getting them to draw in the lines or realistic stuff, is more left brain. So it's great, but it's great to get both sides of the brain working together.
I love abstract artwork for kids because it doesn't put any pressure on them. Let's face it, this is reality. Kids want to just create, and to keep them within the lines sometimes, I don't really think is a good thing
Well,
for
the right
them.
side is really the side of creativity, meaning creating something completely new that had never existed before, and that's really abstract art, and that's really fun, and that's what really kids need to build those right brain skills.
Absolutely. We
Certainly
also
better than
have
computers.
T-shirts they started to decorate also, which will turn into pajamas, right? And we have fabric markers, which you can decorate your socks, your pillowcases, you name it. My kids have worn their colored socks that they made for years. It sounds silly, but they
Just
really
your
do
kids
love
or
to do
my
it.
kids, too?
Oh, our
Yes.
kids. Well, actually, you're not the father.
Your
No,
kids,
I'm only kidding.
like your house.
We have a Twitter. Let's stop there and take time to look at a Twitter tip from one of our viewers. Jamie D says, using sensory bags, for instance, filling up a Ziploc bag for the topic of beach with sand, shells, seaweed, things they can safely pick up, things they can dig through, feel, smell, remember, and discuss. This aids in dialogue. I absolutely love this Twitter. I think it's fantastic that the kids bring back things from the beach, save them, can smell it, can feel it later
real
on.
sensory interaction and dialogue, actually having human conversation instead of sticking them in front of computers and iPhones, right?
Absolutely, and letting them put it in a jar, let them have a memory jar and remember
Right.
what a wonderful day. I also have something that's very easy and inexpensive to do, and especially if the kids are younger, take the cover of a magazine, take a cover of anything because the paper is thick, or have them draw something or take a picture of them on heavy paper and cut it up. I color-coded the edges of these pieces here for younger kids. The older kids, you cut something up that's a little more intricate and it takes them a much longer time to do it. But puzzles are great for the kids. Like I said, it costs no money because you're just using what you have in the house. The bigger the pieces, the easier for the kids. But I know kids love puzzles.
It's also another great way of creating integration between the two sides of the brain, because when you break them up into pieces, depending on what the piece is of, like if it's of a face, that's a right brain skill. If it's of a shape, that's a right brain skill. If it's of words or, you know, detailed places or something, that's more of a left brain skill. So you're really getting those two sides of the brain to work together. Vinny, good job, buddy.
Vincent, look at this. I mean, This is a Restoration Hardware cover that I color coded, and kids, they naturally go to trying to put things back together. If you use a face, it's a little easier because everybody knows there are two eyes and they have to go together. Of course, if you know Vogue, then you know how to put that back together.
You know what's really cool and right brain stimulating, especially for kids that don't feel their body, is to get a face of their face.
Right.
And let them put it back together. It's really neat.
You can take your own picture, print it out on the computer, which is we tried to do with them. They can color one and they can cut up the other, but to get them to have that recognition of putting those pieces back together in a puzzle would be very, very good for them.
So you guys think this is fun? Do you like this, Vinny? You having fun, buddy? Yeah?
Found me again.
Yeah? Well,
Listen, this is something that parents can do to get together. Before we had both of their parents helping them. It's something you can do as a family. It is so important not to have the children in front of the TVs with their cell phones, their iPads. I can't stress how important it is for kids to be able to express themselves artistically and to be proud of their works, hang up their work. Let them give these as gifts. Don't go out and buy gifts. The kids are perfectly capable of creating. Look, this is beautiful, Kamea. It is absolutely beautiful.
well, okay. Well, that's it for us today. Thank you to all my guests, to my wife Carolyn, and to you at home. We're always here for you, and remember, there's always hope. We'll see you next time.